Okay, so when we have verbs as answer choices, right? Appear, starts to appear, is appearing, right? So these are different conjugates of verbs, right? We always need to know what the subject is because a verb agrees with the subject, right? And oftentimes the subject is right next to the verb, but in harder questions on a standardized test, your subject and your verb may be removed from one another, right? Maybe you have a dependent clause that's commaed off, right? Maybe you have a subject, maybe you have some like prepositional phrases. Maybe one prepositional phrase, maybe many prepositional phrases in between. The more prepositional phrases you have in between, probably the more confused you're going to be about what the subject is. But always go to the start of the independent clause, and usually your subject will be somewhere at the beginning, right? And get rid of things that are commaed off, or like these prepositional phrases, right? So we have, as the composer writes each bar in her composition, right, and I have a comma here, right, so this is just a dependent clause at the beginning. I'm going to get rid of it because the verb is never going to agree with something in like a dependent clause. It's going to agree with something in independent clause, right? Now I have appear here, and now I have these sets of commas, right, so I can get rid of this too. Now I have visions of the music, right? And so now I have like a prepositional phrase here, right? And so visions is going to be my subject, right? And visions is plural, so I would say they. And so if I write they, would I say they appear in her head, they appears in her head, they starts to appear in her head, or they is appearing in her head? I would say they appear, answer choice A. Another thing is that on ACT or SAT, if you see like these kind of like where you see three verbs where these would all agree with a singular noun, and this one would agree with a plural noun. If you see something split between that, or if you saw like three plural things that agree with plural and one that agrees with singular, oftentimes it's going to be the odd one out. Not always, but if you see that as kind of like as a split on the test, always check for that. So yes, we would say visions appear in her head, answer choice A.